So playing football for 7 years taught me a lot of things, and one of these things is that if you really want something and you want to achieve a goal that you set for yourself, you really have to work for it, and you have to have a motivation unlike any other to put in this extra work, to wake up at 6 a.m. before school and work out and do all this extra work and really go the extra mile to achieve this goal. And more importantly, in order to actually have the drive and have the motivation to do all this extra stuff to attain this goal, is you have to have a belief in yourself that you can truly do it and you can truly achieve these goals on your own. And this reminds me of a quote by Napoleon Hill that is, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe and can achieve. And I agree with this, and that it means that you can really do anything that you put your mind to if you truly believe it and if you truly put your mind to it. And I do agree with this for two reasons. One, that if you really want something and you really want to achieve a goal, you will work for it, do anything you can to achieve it. And two, your belief in yourself is the most important thing that you can have when achieving a goal. So going back to my first point, if you really want it, you will work for it. We see this in the movie Rudy. That's based on a true story of a kind of a 12th man player that went to Notre Dame, and he had this dream of playing for the Irish and playing under the lights against their big opponent. And he started off, he walked onto the football team and somehow made it, and was just on the scout team, was just kind of on like, he was essentially a practice dummy. And he would go really hard every single play, every single practice, to the point where he would start to get noticed kind of in a negative way, and all the Notre Dame starters would kind of have a negative connotation with him. And that he was just this guy that just went so hard, he was never going to go anywhere, he was too short. But he had this goal to play for the Irish, and he eventually worked and went to every practice, tried as hard as he could at every practice, and he eventually got a spot on the team for the Irish and played in a game. Secondly, along with Rudy, in the movie I Am Sam, if you haven't seen it, there is a man who has a mental illness who ends up having a kid, and the day the baby is born, he kind of gets left by the mother at a bus stop waiting for the bus, and it just ends up being him and the kid, who he later names Lucy after the song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And he eventually, as the child grows older, she starts to become smarter than him, and she's at a higher reading level than he is, because he has this mental challenge that he faces every day. And so there starts to be a custody battle with the daughter, and he wants so badly to raise his daughter and to give her everything he can. So he fights and fights, and eventually gains custody of his daughter, which is a great feeling for the whole movie. Along with that if you really want it, you have to work for it, comes the idea that your own belief in yourself is the most important. And I see this first in my little brother, who is a freshman in college right now, but was big into theater when he was in his high school years. He was kind of the opposite of me. I was more into sports, and he was just into theater. And he's very short. His look doesn't really look like me. He's pretty short, kind of easy to miss at times, but he was really good at acting. And in order to see this, he wasn't just like the best looking guy out there. He sure wasn't the tallest guy, so it was a lot harder for him to get the higher roles and the more prominent roles in the acts, because he wasn't very noticeable. He was kind of always to the side. So in order to get these roles, he really had to work for it. He really had to practice. And so I wasn't really there. He's in San Antonio and I was in Dallas, but all I heard was how much he would just not sleep at night, because he would just be going over his lines like in his room as much as he can, just putting in all this extra work, to where he eventually ended up getting a lead role in his like big senior production that they put on his senior year. So along with my brother and his acting, in the movie Blades of Glory, we see that a main quote in the entire movie is, "If you can dream it, you can do it." That the John Heater's character puts on, that him and Will Ferrell they eventually get banned from this whole men's ice skating league, and someone kind of finds a loophole, like, oh, well, they're not banned for men's double. So as much as they hate each other and they wanted to do it, they had this goal to become champions again in figure skating. And so they worked as hard as they could, as much as they didn't want to, in this whole frozen meat factory with a little makeshift ice skating ring, and they worked at 6 a.m. every day to eventually achieve their goal that they had from the very beginning. So back to the quote, whatever the mind of man can believe and conceive, it can achieve. We see that you can do anything that you put your mind to. And I definitely agree with this, as you can see in the movies Rudy and I Am Sam, that you can get anything you really want if you truly work for it. And with the example of my brother and his theater time and the movie Blades of Glory, that your personal belief is all you need to achieve it. And I learned this throughout the years that I played football, that I always had to believe in myself, because I wasn't always the tallest guy, that I had to really work, I had to put in the work to get stronger than everybody else and eventually gain a spot.